Did today's positive jobs number put the Fed into a box of sorts that'll make it very hard for them to get out of? And what should be the Fed's next big move be? We bring in our panel. We have Fox Business's Tracy Byrnes joining the party here, Chris Gersh, Ultimus Capital Portfolio Manager, and Peter Schiff, Euro Pacific Capital founder and CEO. I pull up a quote from, where's my quote? Oh, Peter Bookfar. We watch him all the time and we read his reports. Peter Bookfar said, how could the Fed, with a straight face, now keep rates at zero in the face of a very strong jobs report, Tracy, a build of 321,000? Are they squished into a box because you have still weakness in Europe and China?
I think 1 month does not a trend make, and that's going to be their case with this, and I don't think they're still going to do anything. I agree with Peter. I think it's high time. We've talked before. I think interest rates should be higher. That would spur the housing market. But I still don't think the Fed is going to move.
Peter Schiff, does Janet Yellen have to play contortionist and squish? We actually ordered contortionist video to show what it means to really get stuck into a box. This is kind of amazing.
Oh.
This is amazing. Look away, look away.
That hurts.
But there's weakness globally, and yet what appears to be strength here. Yeah. What do you say?
Liz, the Fed has been in a box for a long time. The jobs report isn't putting it in that box. You see, if the Fed were actually to raise rates, all the jobs would disappear because the recovery is only here as long as the Fed is propping it up. And, you know, we got 4 economic reports that came out today. The jobs number was only 1. All the other 3 were bad. The trade deficit, factory orders, and consumer credit all came out much worse than expected. In fact, most of the economic data that's been coming out has been bad. And I think the only reason the jobs number was good.
Are they forced to raise rates even if the data are very spotty, Peter? Yes or no?
No. They can't raise rates.
Cannot.
I mean, they should have raised them a long time ago. But the problem is this is a bubble. And if they raise rates, they're going to prick it. It's not a genuine recovery.
Then they're in a box.
It's just
There's your
bubble.
answer. Chris, do you agree with that?
I believe they're absolutely in the box, but it's not the U.S. or anything that's been doing it locally. It has been the fact that Kuroda shoved Yellen in the box, continuing to print that money overseas, and then Draghi taped it shut because, you know, with their deflationary concerns and his inaction, I believe that she's not only in a box, but she's taped shut until the ECB and Japan slow down what's about to happen in the first quarter of next year.
So Janet Yellen needs to practice with Cirque du Soleil. We'll be watching that. Let's get to gold. You may all gold just plummeted over the past year, but the volatility over the past 2 weeks was important enough for us to put together this graphic. It kind of makes your head spin. Up, down, all around. Right off the bat, I go to Peter Schiff first on this. How do you profit amidst the volatility of gold?
Well, first of all, gold hasn't plummeted this year. Gold is about where it began the year. It's basically unchanged. So you might think it's dropped a lot based on all the negative press, but it really hasn't gone anywhere. It went down the prior year, but I disagree with what one of the panelists just said about...
Let me just point this out. It hit a 52-week low at 1132. You are correct. Then it found support around 1180, and right now we're at 1191 per ounce.
Yeah, but that's about where it started the year. I mean, this is where it was in January. But the point is, what's really propping us up is all the money printing that's going on in Japan and all the money that they think they're going to print in Europe. That's what's propping up the dollar, and that's what's hurting gold.
Is there a trade here,
But when
Peter?
people find out that we're going to print more money... Excuse me?
Is there a trade? What should people buy if they're listening to you?
Yes, I'm getting to that. When people figure out that the U.S., the Fed, is going to print more money than Japan and Europe combined, that we're not getting ready to tighten, we're getting ready to launch QE4, that's going to light a fire under the gold trade because people are hiding out in the dollar right now, but they shouldn't. They need to go to gold.
Well,
Peter, we love you, but how long have you been singing the gold song? And to your point, if gold is exactly where it started at the beginning of the year, but if gold is exactly where it started at the beginning of the year, why should anybody bother at this point? I mean, truth is, you can find easier ways to make money that are sure bets in the equity market.
Chris, no QE4, you think?
Yeah, there is no sure bet in the equity market.
Here's a trader. No, Peter, I'm going to tell you how you trade gold. Peter, this is how you trade gold. I trade gold. All right, the VIX is down around 11, 12. You're not buying gold at that. It's a risk play right now. The strong dollar, with the yen being printed, you're But here's the thing. Volatility has to spike up, and we have to have a pullback in the S&P before we buy gold. So all the viewers, if you're playing the gold play, the VIX has to come up around 18, S&P has to come off a little bit, and the dollar strength right now, do not buy gold as long as the dollar continues to be over 120 versus the yen.
But to be fair with Peter, Peter is not a short-term trader. Peter, you're a long-term guy, correct?
Well, I want to be in gold. And as you know, Tracy said, how long I've been talking about gold since it was under $300 an ounce. And yes, we've had a couple of years where gold has gone down, but I think we're getting ready for another big leg up. I still maintain we're going to go to 5,000 and higher. And so people need to own gold, and they need to understand why. But you just don't own gold. You have to own other assets too.
Well, of course.
But Tracy's talking about a sure thing in the U.S. stock market.
I'm just saying,
18 years ago, Alan Greenspan was talking about irrational
is a little safer for your 401k than gold right now.
Okay, hold on. We want everybody watching to join the debate. Do you agree with Peter, or do you agree with Chris, or do you agree with Tracy? Is it a good or bad time to invest in gold? Are there better trades? Send us a message on Facebook, or you can tweet us at FBNATB. And for Facebook, it's facebook.com/afterthebell. Don't go away, because coming up, they're staying with us. Our big oil M&A deals on the horizon with oil so cheap. And last night, millions tuned in to watch Peter Pan live. But can it fly NBC to new heights? Falling oil prices, yes, it happened again, have actually been very good news for consumers and businesses. But could it also be good news for big oil companies trying to snap up other ones? We're back with Fox Business's Tracy Byrnes, Chris Gersh, Ultimate Capital Portfolio Manager, and Peter Schiff, Euro Pacific Capital founder and CEO. Chris, we did see it fall once again, and we're down more than 30% year to date when it comes to the price of oil. So right off the bat, how does an investor spot, say, for example, similar deals like what we saw a few weeks ago, which was Baker Hughes snapping up, you know, some of the other names at Halliburton, right? Was that what it was?
Exactly.
Did I get that right? Yeah.
Other way around.
Other way around, I'm told. Okay.
Well, you're right on track. What you need to do as far as investing in oil right now, if you want to stay evolved and exposed to that sort of sector, you're going to look at the best of breed. Me personally, for my clients, we're really looking at Schlumberger. They've looked at a couple targets from my understanding, and those type of top-tier oil sectors, they are going to potentially be acquiring a lot of these mid-tier regionals that have popped up. And so look for the best of breed, but I still don't think oil's going to stop and reverse its track anytime soon. So really be careful. Don't catch a falling knife here.
Okay, Peter, what do you think? I mean, Boone Pickens came out. He may be talking his book. That was sort of the consensus, but said, oh, no, it could go back up to $100 a barrel. Where do you see oil going?
Well, I mean, I've got the same book, so you could say the same thing about me. And I own a lot of oil stocks. But look, I think this oil decline, again, is temporary. I think it's more a market-driven phenomena. It's technical. And again, it has a lot to do with the anticipation of a tighter Fed and a stronger dollar. The dollar has strengthened, but the Fed hasn't tightened, and I don't believe it's going to tighten because, again, I think the recovery is a mirage, and as more people figure this out in 2015 and the dollar trade reverses, I think you're going to see a sharp reversal in oil as well.
Okay, but let's not fight the tape, Tracy.
Right.
Let's find out what the trade is for people watching right now.
I mean, look, valuations are low. Liz, you still have interest rates that are rock bottom. This is holiday season for M&A, quite frankly. I mean, and if they're going to do it at any time, I think you're going to start to see it, especially before the end of the year, if you have to roll in tax purposes.
And with holiday season comes holiday broadcasts. Let's get to what happened with NBC. Last night, NBC aired its live musical broadcast of Peter Pan. Live. Need I say live 50,000 times? Well, the network had huge success last year with The Sound of Music Live, which was in a way an experiment that garnered about 18+ million viewers. This time around, Allison Williams kind of flying around here and there. 9 million viewers. That's still a lot, Tracy. So does NBC continue to go with these live things, or when you cut those numbers in half, is it time to finish out with the live musicals?
So I think 18 million people last year who watched The Sound of Music were sorely disappointed, which is why you only got half of them back this year. And I think you're going to get half of that if they try to go any further with this. It didn't work, and they really, it's okay. You could tape. Lots of people do.
Chris, why didn't it work? What do you think?
I don't think it worked because Allison Williams doesn't have the star power that Carrie Underwood did. I think if you get a Taylor Swift type of person, call her agent. You're going to get about 30 million people viewing that. So I think Carrie Underwood has the star power that Allison doesn't.
I think Chris had suggested Taylor Swift doing Grease. Oh, how cool would that? I'd watch that, right? What about you, Peter? What do you think? Does NBC get props, certainly, for taking a gutsy flying leap, but it didn't work the second time around, although I'd still say 9 million viewers is decent here.
I don't know. I didn't see it, but, I had an idea. Why don't you and David start singing the closing bell? Maybe that'll up the rating.
Interesting idea.
I know you can carry a tune really well. I don't know about David.
On that note,
I actually saw it. I had to turn off my Bears. The Bears
here at
stunk
FBN.
yesterday.
Well, it was that bad, right? Okay, Chris. Thanks very much. Chris Guerns, Tracy Byrnes, Peter Schiff. We will not be singing after the bell, but maybe countdown. Thanks, gang.
You know you want to.
I can fly, but I can't sing.
If you think it's a good time to invest in gold, Wayne says, I think 10% of one's assets should be in physical gold.
Mike says, I'd wait until the price starts to stabilize before buying, as it may still go lower.
Okay, the number one thing to watch for next week. We spin it forward and bring it back to Peter Schiff, Euro Pacific Capital founder and CEO. You know you want to. To quote you, Peter, what do you think is the number one thing to watch?
I'm still thinking about Halle Berry and lingerie, but there's not a lot of economic news coming out this week. But on Thursday or next week, we're going to get the retail sales and the weekly unemployment claims, and I think that's worth watching because we had a horrible holiday weekend, so people are going to be looking at those retail sales. And unemployment claims have been backing up. Before this week, we had 5 weeks in a row where the claims are going up. The moving average is still going up. So you got to look at unemployment and retail sales.
I couldn't help but hearing your gold 5,000 remark. When do you think gold is going to break out of this sort of 1,100 to 1,200 range, Peter?
Well, it's really not. I mean, it's about 1,200. I mean, it did get down to about 1,150 for a nanosecond, but it's mainly been right around 1,200.
When is it going to break out? You got 2 seconds.
I don't know. It's like, when is the world going to wake up? When are people going to figure out how wrong they've got?